is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain. Muscular discomfort entirely up to you. If you need to stop, have a little rest, stretch, stop and stretch whenever you need. Or if you feel that you can keep going, keeping going for as long as possible. So if you're seated, trying to find your good seated position. So as usual, focus on that belly breath to allow the belly and the rib cage to expand out in that relaxed breath. I need to give them space. If I'm slouching, if I'm dropping down and closing, everything is squashed, so the diaphragm can't move properly. So I'm forcing myself to breathe apically, to breathe into the top of the chest and into the shoulders, which is not a very relaxed breath. So I'm just going to try and lift myself as much as I can, allowing the shoulders to drop, the neck to lengthen out, giving the abdomen a little bit more space so that I can expand and relax the belly with the breath. If I'm lying down, just allowing the mat to support the back, relaxing the arms down by the side, keeping the legs straight or bending the knees, whichever way feels more comfortable for your hips and lower back. And then once that you feel that the breath is a little bit more relaxed, just to start noticing the body. So it's making a little scan over the body to have a comparison to how I feel at the beginning and how I feel at the end of the session. So is the pressure on my seat bones the same, or does it feel as if I'm putting maybe a little bit more pressure on one side than the other? Do I feel straight? Am I slightly wonky? If I'm lying down, are my arms in the same position, or does it feel as if one arm is maybe a little bit closer, one leg is slightly more turned than the other one is? Just noticing where the body is and how I feel to begin with. And then as I feel a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, I'm just going to start focusing on the neck. I'm going to start turning the head from side to side. This is just giving the cervical spine a little movement. So I'm just going to turn to look over the right and then turn to look over the left side. Each time, see if I can maybe turn a little bit more. But especially if you're seated with the corner of your eye, just look down at the shoulder. Make sure that the shoulder is not moving backwards with you. The shoulders is keeping still. It's just the head that is moving on top. So I can clearly feel the movement through the top of the neck, the head that rotates from side to side on top. If I'm lying down, the head is resting on the floor, on the mat. So I'm just going to turn it as far as I feel I can turn, and then coming back and then turning the other way. 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the head back to the center, adjusting the head back to the middle if I need to adjust. And then from rotation, I'm going to go into a little flexion extension, a little skull rock. So as usual, pressing the chin to the back of your throat as if I was giving myself a double chin. I'm going to try and press the back of the neck down as if I was trying to flatten it against the mat. Then I'm going to lift it up and then bring the chin up. Looking behind to see if I can lengthen and open through the front of the throat. And then I'm going to tuck it in again. If I'm seated, I don't have anything to guide the position of the head. Imagine to have a wall behind you. So keeping the back of the head against the wall, I'm just going to try and give myself a double chin. So see if I can try and lengthen and lift at the back of the neck as much as I can, and then reverse, and I'm going to try and lengthen and lift through the front of the throat as much as I can. And then I'm going to come back and then repeat in reverse. Just making sure that especially as you lift to look up, there is no pinching into the neck that might cause any pain or any shooting pain down the arms or tingling into the fingers. If there is, I'm just going to reduce the range of movement, making it a little bit smaller, making sure that it's not causing pain. 3, 2, last one, out. Release it back, returning the head back to the middle, adjusting the shoulders again if I need to do so. And then from flexion extension, I'm going to go into little lateral flexion. So I'm going to try and bring the ear to the shoulders, the right ear to the right shoulder. I'm just going to move the head to the right, left ear to the left shoulder, and then I'm going to move the head to the left. Focusing on a gentle stretch that starts from the base of the ear, just behind the jaw, comes down the side of the neck to the top of the shoulder. Same as I did before, making sure that I'm not forcing, so there is no pinching, there is no pain into the neck. And then this time, if I feel that the movement feels a little bit easier, and I want to encourage just a little bit more stretch, I'm just going to put a little traction with the arm. So as the right ear drops down to the right shoulder, with the left arm, I'm going to reach long down the side of the body, and then see if I can put a little bit more traction down the left side of the neck. Then easing my way back, I'm going to drop the left ear to the left shoulder, and then with the right arm, I'm going to reach down along the side of the body, see if I can release, ease some of the tension down the side of the neck. Releasing, and then moving to the other side. So see if I can try and ease off with some of the stiffness, some of the tension of the neck, of the jaw, of the upper body. 2, last one. And releasing back. Readjusting the head back to the middle. Hopefully the neck feels that little bit looser, a little bit longer, a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to focus on the upper back, starting with a little rotation. So same as I did for the neck. If I'm seated, I can cross the arms onto the chest, I can bring the arms to the front, it's whatever feels easier. If I'm lying down, it's easy if you stick the arms out. And then I'm just going to swing the arms over to the right. I'm going to rotate to the right, come back to the center, and then swinging to the left. I'm going to rotate to the left. So I'm going to turn to the right, and then turn to the left. So if I'm seated, I've got plenty of space, so there is no floor behind me that is going to limit my movement. So I'm going to try and see if I can really use all of the space, so turning the head to look behind, and then just noticing how far around can I turn when I go to the right, how far around can I turn when I go to the left, how easy it is to turn to the right, how easy it is to turn to the left. Always focusing on the side that feels not as easy. So the stiffer side, see if I can try and encourage a better movement, a little bit more movement on that side. If I'm lying down, just rolling from one shoulder to the other, massaging across the middle of the back as I move from one to the other side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the arms, adjusting the shoulders, the rib cage, and then same as I did for the neck, I'm going to go into the little flexion extension. So if I'm lying down, I can make the flexion a little bit bigger by lifting the head, in which case I'm just going to use the hand behind the head. I'm going to tug the chin and then lift the head, lift the shoulders. I'm going to curl my way up into flexion. Then I'm just going to let the head drop down and then pushing the rib cage up to the ceiling. I'm going to try and go into extension. Then I'm going to drop back, curling my head forward, flexion, and then down and extension. If I'm seated, see if you can think of the movement happening just through your thoracic spine, so just into the upper back. So I'm going to try and flex. So imagine to be pushing your chest into the back of the rib cage. So I'm going to try and round at the upper back, and then I'm going to push my back into the front of the rib cage. So I'm going to extend. I'm going to lift and open up through the chest. So I'm going to flex and round myself forward, and then I'm going to extend and then trying to open and lift myself up. So trying to create space at the front as I extend, and then space at the back as I flex. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, raising the shoulders and the upper back. And then again, from flexion extension, I'm going to move into lateral flexion. So if you're lying down, you might want to support the head with one hand, so you're carrying the head with you. If I'm seated, I don't need the support as the head sits on top of the shoulders. I'm just going to start to flex into the side. So I'm going to reach with the right hand down the right side, easing my way back to the center, and then with the left hand, I'm just going to reach down the left side. So imagine a little pendulum moving side to side. So I can feel the movement through the thoracic spine into the upper back. If I'm seated, making sure that I'm not leaning forward, I'm not arching back, I'm just moving side to side. As if my back was against the wall. I want my head, my shoulders, my hips to stay on the wall as I'm moving from side to side. And also see if I can start focusing on that gentle tension into the side of the belly, so the obliques, so the side of the belly, the muscles on the side of the belly that are creating a little pull and push movement to allow me to do that. So I can feel the right side pulling, the left side lengthening as I move down to the right, and then in reverse, I can feel the left side pulling, the right side lengthening as I come back to the center and move to the left. So maneuvering the body from side to side, also noticing the range of movement. I might find that one side feels easier than the other. On one side, I can really feel the belly working. On the other side, it doesn't feel the same. It could be that maybe I'm leaning forward slightly. It could be that maybe I'm rotating slightly. See if I can keep the movement to the side. If I'm lying down, using the mat to guide me, so the head lifts slightly off the floor, but I'm still keeping the shoulders on the mat, even when I move the rib cage to the side. Coming back and then going the other way. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, having a little rest, resetting yourself back to the middle. And then I'm just going to keep traveling down the back, but this time focusing on the lumbar spine, so on the lower back. I'm going to go back in rotation, but this time, instead of rolling through the shoulders, I'm going to roll through the hips. So I'm going to let the arms open up nice and wide, and then turning the hips to one side, I'm going to let the hips and the legs rotate to one side, back to the center, and then to the other side. If I'm seated, the hips rotation is impossible, as I'm seated on the sequence, so the hips can't really move. But what I can do is trying to move the legs myself. So I'm going to reach across with the right arm to that left knee, and then I'm just going to pull the legs to the right. At the same time, I'm going to try and turn away, then come back to the center, and then reaching across the other way, I'm going to pull the legs to the left, and then I'm going to turn to look away, turn the opposite way, back to the center, and then to the other side. So see, still encouraging rotation, and a little bit of a stretch down the side of the leg into the side of the hip. 7. 6. 5. 4. Finding the breath that works for you. 3. Making sure that you're not holding the breath. 2. Last one. And releasing back. Releasing the shoulders, releasing the back. So it's a little bit movement down into the lumbar from rotation, same as I've been doing so far. I'm going to go into flexion extension, so into a little pelvic tilt. So if I'm seated this time, think of, instead of moving from the upper back, so instead of rounding and opening, see if you can think of the lower back and doing that. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back, as if I was trying to roll back onto my tailbone. I'm going to round the lower back, and then I'm going to try and lift it again. So I'm just going to roll back onto my tailbone, and then I'm going to come up nice and tall over the seat bones. Roll back onto the tailbone, and then up nice and tall over the seat bones. So just a little forward and back movement. Feeling the abdominals working to help me create that little tilt forward and back, and the belly compressing, the corset tightening through the middle to offer support. If I'm laying down, exactly the same. I've got the mat to guide me, so I can flatten my lower back into the floor, and then I can pull it away. I can flatten it, and then I can pull it away. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And releasing back, resetting the hips back to the middle. And then same as I've been doing for the rest of the spine, I'm going to finish off with the lateral flexion. So this time, instead of thinking of taking the ribs to the hips, I think of taking the hip to the ribs. So I'm going to go into a little hip hitch. So I'm going to try and hitch the right hip up towards the right side of the rib cage, and then the left hip towards the left side. So this time I can feel the pelvis gently moving from side to side. If I'm seated, imagine to be taking the weight off one of the seat bones. So I'm going to try and hitch up on the right, make the right seat bone lighter on the chair. Then I'm going to ease the weight back down, and then I'm going to try and hitch up on the other side. So again, a little tension into the side of the belly, and just a little movement into the very bottom of the spine, into that lumbar spine. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1, and releasing back. Easing the hips, adjusting the hips, so releasing the back. So back feels hopefully a little bit looser, a little bit warmer. I'm going to work on the shoulder joint this time. So starting off with a little damp waiter. So imagine to be like a waiter holding a tray of glasses. So I'm going to bend at the elbows. I'm going to tuck the elbows into the side of the body. And then turning the palms to face up, I'm just going to rest my tray onto the hands. Then being a bit dumb, I'm just going to open the arms out, and then I'm just going to drop my tray. Then I'm going to close back, and then I'm going to open again. See if you can picture the top of the arm turning into the shoulder socket. So I'm just trying to turn the arm into the shoulder socket. I'm not pulling it backwards. I'm not pulling it outwards. I'm just trying to turn it as far as it'll go, and then I'm going to turn it back. So just trying to get some movement into the shoulder joint. And then noticing, again, I might find that one side feels easier than the other. One arm is rotating better. The movement just seems to be slightly bigger on one side than the other. On one side, I might feel that I tend to tense, so the shoulders tends to creep up to the head. See if I can keep the shoulders down, nice and wide, and the neck nice and long in the middle. And then easing back. The elbows are staying bent. So I'm just going to turn the arm out and then turn it back. Keeping the elbows as close to the side of the ribcage as possible. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. This is a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint. I'm going to try and see if I can add a little resistance this time. So I'm just going to grab a hold of my ball, or if I don't have the ball, I can just use a pillow or a towel. So I'm just going to rub the towel slightly, hold the pillow if this may be a little bit too soft, and then I'm just going to tuck it under the right arm. So imagine to be tucking it under the armpit there. And then what I want you to focus on, see if you can focus on the muscle that rounds. Picture the muscle, it attaches to the back of the arm, comes down the back of the ribcage like a big wing, all the way down towards the middle of the back. It's a big one that runs behind the back. I want to try and activate that muscle. So I'm going to drop the shoulder, and then I'm just going to start to squeeze in the ball between the arm and the rib cage. Then I'm going to ease that pressure, and then I'm going to squeeze again. Keeping that squeeze going. See if you can start adding the little rotation. So I'm going to try and turn and squeeze, and then come back. So I'm going to turn and squeeze and come back. And then as I do the little squeeze in action, see if you can notice at the top of the neck and the top of the shoulder as you're doing so. There shouldn't be tension there. If there is tension, it means that to squeeze, I'm pulling with my neck. See if I can think of the neck staying relaxed, and the shoulder staying down, staying out, staying wide. The tension is somewhere behind the rib cage, behind the shoulder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, easing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. I'm going to try the same thing with the other side. So I'm going to tuck the ball under the other arm, and then I'm just going to start with just a few squeezes. So I'm just going to try and press and release, adjusting if I feel that it's not quite in the right place. And then once that I've got the squeezes, so I can feel the tension is at the back of the shoulder, the neck seems to be relaxed, I can turn my head easily. It doesn't feel as if the neck is locked and stiffened up. I'm going to start adding the little rotation. So I'm going to open and squeeze, and then close and release. Open and squeeze, and then close and release. And then, as we tend to be right or left-handed, you might find that that one arm seems to be a little bit stronger. So this side might fatigue a little bit quicker. I might find that it struggles a little bit. I might find that it shakes a little bit. If I need the rest, I'm going to take the rest. If I can keep it going, I'm going to keep it going. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one, and releasing back. Easing the tension, relaxing the shoulder, releasing the arm. It's a little bit more connection. I should be feeling a little kind of like gentle tension or tingle right at the back of the shoulder. I'm going to try and see now if I can start moving the arm into the shoulder socket more. So I'm just going to focus on one arm at a time. I'm going to start raising the arm up to the front, and then I'm going to take it as far back as it's comfortable to move it. So I'm not fighting, I'm not forcing, I'm not tensing, stiffening. I want a nice relaxed movement. Then I'm going to ease that arm back, and then I'm going to try the same thing with the other side. So same as I've been doing so far. I'm expecting that one arm is slightly better than the other. So I find that one side maybe is a little bit more restricted. So I'm not going to force the movement. I don't want to cause pain. I'm going to adjust to the position of the arm. So what happens if I maybe bend the elbow a little bit more? What happens if I take the arm slightly wider? Can I try and find a better movement and easier movement on the shoulder? Allowing the arm to drop down into the shoulder socket and the neck to stay nice and relaxed. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And releasing down. Relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. So just a little bit more movement through the shoulder joint. I'm going to change the effort. What I want is a little bit more tension, but this time I'm going to try and work across the front of the chest more. So I'm going to grab hold of my pillow, the ball again, and then holding it in front of me, I'm going to push the palms into the ball, press the palms into the pillow. Try not to drive into the wrist, so making sure that the arm doesn't end up in this position, which is obviously going to cause quite a lot of pressure into the wrist joint. See if I can keep the wrist locked and nice and straight, so there is no pressure into the joint. And then it's as if I was trying to push the palms of my hands and my forearms together. I'm going to give the ball or the pillow a little squeeze. Then I'm going to release, and then again, I'm going to give it a little squeeze and release. So see if you can notice where the tension is this time. It goes from the front of the shoulder right down across the front of the chest. So it's the pectoral muscles that are pulling to draw the arms together, to draw the arms in. Just make sure that as you're creating that push, as you're driving into the ball, the shoulders are not gradually creeping up to the head. So see if I can maintain a nice long neck, a nice open, shoulder girdle, a nice open chest, even if I'm squeezing at the front. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, easing the tension of the ball, relaxing the arms down the side, and then going back into the big shoulder movement. This time, instead of going for a front raise, I'm going to go for a lateral raise. So I'm going to start opening the arm, the right arm out to the right. I'm going to swing it round and towards the head, and then I'm going to bring it back the same way. Then with the left, I'm going to do the same, a nice wave around, and then coming back. And then same as I did for the front raise. I feel that the shoulder is quite restricted, is quite tight, or maybe it's a bit sore, it's a bit tender. I'm not going to lift the arm too high. I'm just going to make my wave, my swing a little bit smaller, so that I'm not putting strain in the shoulder. I'm not suffering because of the movement. So big wave or little wave, if I can find the one that works for my right and the one that works for my left arm. Again, the neck feels relaxed. I can look around, no problem. There is no tension lifting into the neck, into the head, and into the face. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. It's a little bit more movement, it's a little bit more connection. I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to work with the cushion or with the ball. I'm going to reach the arms to the front, so it doesn't matter if I'm seated or lying down. And then I'm just going to turn the left palm to face up. I'm going to rest the ball or the pillow on the hand, and then the other hand goes on top. So I'm going to sandwich the ball between the hands. And then this time, trying to support the ball with the arm that is underneath. With the top hand, I'm going to try and press down. So I'm going to squeeze the ball and then release. Squeeze the ball and release. See if you can, same as you've been doing so far, be aware of the pressure, taking your shoulders down and away from your head, not up into your head. So I'm not suddenly shrugging and stiffening. The shoulders are dropping. And then I'm just going to ease the pressure, and then I'm going to squeeze again. 5, 6, 7. If the arm starts feeling that it's fatiguing a little bit, I can make them a little bit shorter, bring them closer to me. 8, 9, 10, and release. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then I'm going to repeat the same, but inverting the hands. So the other hand goes underneath, the other one on top. I'm going to resist and hold with the bottom arm, and then I'm going to press down with the top. So I'm going to try and squeeze the ball between the hands, release, making sure that the shoulders are dropping, they're not lifting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the upper body. And then I'm going to do a similar work, but this time focusing on the hips. So first the thing, I want to try and connect into the front of the hip joint. So I want the hip flexors to try and switch on. I want to feel it tensing. So if I'm seated, I can just put my hand onto the leg. If I'm laying down, to make sure that I don't have to strain to reach to the leg, I can put the ball or the pillow between the right thigh and the right hand. So I don't need to reach too far. And then from there, I'm going to take a deep breath in. With the hand, I'm going to try and push down. With the leg, I'm going to try and lift up into the ball. So I want to try and squeeze the ball between my right hand and my right thigh. And then I'm just going to release. So I'm going to try and squeeze in between and release. As you're trying to press up both ends, see if you can be aware of a connection that goes from the front of the right hip up into the right side of the belly, all the way into the right side of the chest. So it's all that band that is tightening to allow my arm to push down into the ball and then the leg to push up into the ball. And then I'm going to release. So I can feel the hip flexor. I can feel it hopefully twitching a little bit. I can feel a little tension into the side of the belly. I can feel a little tension into the front of the chest. 6, 7, 8, 9, the shoulder is still down, the neck is still nice and long. Last one. And release. Relaxing the leg, relaxing the arm. I'm going to try the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to rest the hand onto the thigh or use the pillow, the ball between the hand and the thigh. And then I'm going to try and squeeze the ball. So I'm going to try and pull up on the leg and push down with the arm. Then relax, and then again, pull up on the leg and then push down on the arm and relax. So see if I can be aware, see if I can focus my intention into that tension that from the front of the hip comes up into the side of the belly and into the front of the chest. The shoulder is down, again, the neck is nice and relaxed. 4, 3, 2, last one, and relax. Relaxing the hip, releasing the leg, so I can feel, hopefully I can feel a little bit more connection through the front of the hip. I'm going to see if I can now switch the effort and then bring it to the inside of the leg. So I'm going to put the pillow, the ball between the knees. I'm going to shuffle the feet a little bit closer together. And then this time, I'm going to try and squeeze with both knees into the ball. So I'm going to try and press into the ball as if I was trying to pop it. And then I'm just going to ease that pressure. So I can feel the tension coming up through the inner thighs. Then ease in that pressure. And then I'm going to press in again. Then whenever you press into the ball, see if you can be aware either of your pelvic floor or your transverses, so your core set of strength or your pelvic floor muscles. See if I can try and tighten up to lift. So imagine to be lifting the front passage up towards the inside of the body. And then I'm just going to let everything relax. And then I'm going to try and pull it up again. And then relax. So just a little tension. Or I'm just trying to put my corset a little bit tighter around the middle as I squeeze. And then I'm just going to let go as I release that pressure. Notice again the shoulders. Am I shrugging the shoulders? Am I gripping with the arms? Or can I keep the upper body loose? And then if you find that the legs are not very responsive, so I might find that I can control my right, but my leg just like it doesn't want to listen. I'm just going to use the hand to guide it. So I'm just going to try and encourage the leg to move in using my hands to squeeze them together. And then I might need to encourage them to open by pushing out. So I'm just going to try and guide the movement to see if I can get that little opening and closing going against the resistance of the pillow, against the resistance of the ball. 3, 2, last one. And releasing back, easing the tension of the ball, giving the legs a little rub, relaxing the leg, releasing the inner thigh. And then I'm going to try and change the effort one more time. So I've managed to connect to the front. I've managed to connect to the inside. I want to connect it to the side of the hip, so to the outside of the hip. So I'm going to grab hold of my strap or my band, and then I'm just going to wrap it around the legs, around the knees. I can either cross it over and kind of like hold a little tension, or I can tie a little bow or a little knot to hold it in place. If you've got one of the rigid strap, give yourself a bit of a slack, as obviously there is no give into the strap. If you've got the elastic one, it doesn't matter because it's going to stretch out. And then from here, instead of focusing on squeezing the knees together, I'm going to try and focus on pulling the knees apart. So I'm going to try and push out into the band, trying to open up the knees, and then I'm going to release. So I'm going to try and push out into the band and release. Exactly the same as I was doing when I was squeezing in, focusing either on your pelvic floor or your transversal, so your core center of strength of your supporter from underneath, whichever one you feel that you can connect to better. To see if I can try and hold that supporter, so especially if I'm seated, see if I can still maintain myself a seated tall instead of slouching and collapsing down. So giving the spine a little bit more support to maintain that nice upright longer position. If I'm laying down, I've got the mat to support me, but I can still focus on the deep abdominals on my pelvic floor muscles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. I'm doing the band, relaxing the hips, releasing the legs, giving a little, excuse me, giving a little tap to the side of the hip, to the side of the bum, to release the leg, to relax the hip. Then when you're ready, if you're laying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding your comfortable seated position, so setting the legs, whichever position works better for your hips and your lower back. Leaning against the sofa wall, something steady that is not going to slide, is not going to slip off, to give me balance, to give me support if I need to, or using the arms. And then once that I feel that the legs are set, the back is set, then think of opening up the front of the body. So I'm going to push the chest forward, exaggerate the movement. Think of the shoulders drawing back and dropping down. I'm going to look forward, I'm going to look up, I'm going to look back. I'm going to try and create as much space along the front as possible. And then I'm just going to relax. I'm going to let the chin come down to the chest, the shoulders come forward. I'm going to let myself roll forward as close to the legs as I feel safe going, and then back up in reverse. So we're stacking everything back on top, shoulders back, the chest comes forward, looking up, looking back, And releasing, coming forward again. Imagine to be deflated. So I'm just going to deflate myself, relax forward as much as I can. And then I'm just going to try one more time. I'm going to inflate myself up, shoulders back. It just comes forward, lifting the head, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow.